Now we can start the programs.
Everyone, welcome for this forum. On behalf of the Knowledge Institute of Technology and on behalf, I welcome all the participants, all the resource persons, all the faculty members, directors, HODs of Knowledge Institute of Technologies and other institutions who have joined this forum. I welcome all the peoples for this research seminar on everyone can do the quality research. So this is organized in terms of 8 number of talks. So one talk which was already is over, and second talk will be intimated later. There is a third talk will be delivered by Professor Balakrishnan from IISc Bangalore in the topic of general research aspect of computational fluid dynamics. So I welcome Professor Balakrishnan sir. I welcome you, sir, and also I welcome all the participants once again. Now the program will start in the formal welcome address by Professor Satyanarayana sir. This forum is over to Professor Satyanarayana sir. I request Professor Satyanarayana sir.
Okay, you can formally welcome and move to chief guest introduction.
Yes, sir. Sir, on behalf of Satyanarayana sir, I welcome once again Professor Balakrishnan sir and our principal sir and all the directors and HODs. Satyanarayana sir.
Satya, please come on the line, sir.
Good morning, sir.
You deliver your talk, sir. Deliver your welcome address.
Knowledge Institute of Technology, I welcome every one of you session, sir, for this program. And all the participants throughout the country who was actively involved in this program. And I welcome each one of you once again to this program. I welcome our beloved principal, sir, our heads of various departments, directors for this program. Thank you very much, sir. Over to Muniraj, sir.
Thank you, Satyanarayana sir. Now the forum is handed over to Ms. Sanmuga Priya Madam, Assistant Professor EC Department, to formally give the introduction to Chief Guest.
Good morning, everyone. I'm privileged in introducing today's resource person, Dr. N. Balakrishnan, Professor and heading the Computational Aerodynamics Lab, Department of Aerospace Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, and SAR is an Associate Faculty in Supercomputing Education and Research Center, SERC. SAR was interested in CFD algorithms and applications with high performance computing. Professor has guided 17 research scholars and over 50 ME theses and involved in several contracts both from within the country and abroad. He has over 100 publications in journal and international conferences. His work on unstructured finite volume solvers has resulted in an industry standard CFD solver, HiFun, which is extremely and extensively being used by the Indian aerospace industry. He is also the founder director of S&I Engineering Solutions, a venture company specializing in CFD services, incubated out of IISc. With this brief introduction, I once again welcome you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Over to Principal, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, madam. I am very happy in welcoming all the participants on the Zoom, also the participants who are viewing in the YouTube channel. This is talk number 3 in the 8 series talk. The talk number 1 was on instrumentation for thermal engineering delivered by Dr. Muthukumar, IIT Guwahati, and he'll be scheduling the second talk sometime later on research methodology. And talk 3 is by Balakrishnan, and he has today he will be covering about general research methodology and computational fluid dynamics. And he will be delivering one more talk on how his by using the research, how he has converted this research into a very professional CFD software. The CFD software is being managed, is dominated by Western world, equivalent to or better than the Western world softwares available in the computational dynamics domain. Bala has and his team has developed CFD code and software, and that is being very widely used in India and various places, especially in the PRDO and aerospace related laboratories. So how we can convert such a research into such a business opportunity, that will be Dr. Bala's second talk. And there will be two more talks on research methodology 1 and how to write quality papers by Anna University former director of research, Dr. Jayvel. And I'll be delivering two talks to the very fundamental beginner level on research methodology 1 and how to start the research work and what are the difficulties one may face and how to overcome those difficulties and bring out a quality research. So in this 8-talk series, today Dr. Bala is here. I'm very happy in welcoming Dr. N. Balakrishnan. Incidentally, we two were the classmates in our IIT Bombay during 1988 MTech Thermal Engineering course. And we had a very deep interaction while studying. So I had Dr. Jagdish as a guide. He has passed away in the middle unexpectedly due to ill health. Then I has been transferred to Dr. U.N. Gaitonde, and Dr. U.N. Gaitonde is Mr. Bala's guide. So we both worked under the same supervisor for our MTech thesis. And if you are familiar with the computational fluid dynamics, may aware, there are two streams. One is the code development and improving the code accuracy, meshing accuracy, and solution speed and other things. This is called algorithm group. And this algorithm group has developed certain algorithms, but it has to be used for solving many problems, many real life problems. So this is application group. So in the CFD research, there are two major streams. One will work on mathematics and algorithms and how to improve efficiency. It's called algorithm group. Another is application group. So Bala was working on the algorithm group. So he has developed a code, and that has become a world standard code. And since I moved on application side, I have taken up some 14 PhDs and solved a good number of problems in the area of in real life applications. Many of them using CFD as well. So this is how our journey has moved in the past 30 years. So I after becoming a lecturer, then assistant professor, HOD, principal, being a promoter of a institute, and we promoted an engineering college with a team of B classmates and faculty colleagues. And we are Knowledge of Technology is a 11-year-old institution, and it has gained good reputation among the Tamil Nadu engineering aspirants. The last 3 years in the Anna University or Tamil Nadu government engineering admission counseling, all our seats were used to get filled within top 50 position across the state among 500 plus self-financing engineering colleges. And in the Western Tamil Nadu, comprising about 150 institutions, our seats were filled within top 18. And in the Salem Namakkal zone, we used to occupy the second place in terms of admissions. So when we do a quality work, definitely it will be accepted by everyone, and we will move up on the ladder. So that is what is the track. Mr. Bala has traveled through one track, and myself have traveled through another track. Both have really gone up on the value chain. And another incidental fact is that Bala is one among the 4 siblings of his father, 4 sons and daughters. Two of his brothers are also PhD from IIC Bangalore. They belong to metallurgy domain. They work in DRDO laboratories. And his sister is a medical doctor. His wife is a medical doctor. So the entire doctor family, I used to generally say about Bala. So he has got a very long association with us. In fact, when he wanted to convert his code into a company, he has extended an invitation for me to come and join. But because of my commitments, I could not able to be a part of that his venture. So such a very long friendship and association, but both mean for quality work, whatever we do. So that is where we stand. So I think today's talk will give. We both learned from Professor Gaitonde and Professor S.P. Sukatni, like persons, they all give very simple language down to the core fundamentals. That is where a lot of importance is given. So all his talks, yesterday, the previous talk on Muthukumar also, you might have understood right from, he started with the fundamentals ABCD of instrumentation and has covered up to modern day instrumentation. Like that, Bala's talk will also add a lot of value. So you can listen to this. If you have any doubts, you can raise in the question and answer session. And this recordings will be always available in the Info KIOT YouTube channel. You can refer to your colleagues also in future. With this opening, I'm very happy that we could able to listen to Bala once again after a long gap. So thanks to Zoom, thanks to COVID-19 pandemic, all has given a lot of new avenues to connect. So thank you, my dear participants. Over to Bala for his talk.
Thank you. Thank you, Srinivasan. Thank you for your very kind introduction. I'm also very glad that you have this initiative on research, okay, motivating people to undertake research and look at research as a career option. I think this series of talks, I hope, will really sort of motivate people, and we will be able to achieve uh, that particular goal. So today, in fact, like when Srinivasan had called me and told me that, so what we call as ABCDR. ABCD, I think people would know, right? So what I would say as ABCDR, anybody can do research, okay? So something of that kind. So I also sort of looking at the kind of participants we are going to have. Okay, we will have people with engineering background.
Bala, bit louder. Audibility need to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
bit
1 minute.
louder.
I will increase my microphone. Is it okay now?
Yeah, excellent.
Right. Okay. So basically, like I was looking at the kind of participants we are going to have. We will have people from the arts, science, with engineering background, without engineering background, professionals. So basically, what I thought was that I will make this talk in essentially two parts. Okay. The first part, I will present to you what I understand as research. I think that's very, very important in order that we pursue research as a career. Okay, it's very important. What is research? And in the second part, I hope seamlessly, I think it will get integrated with the use of the so-called supercomputing platforms, which is what is my domain of specialization, right? Supercomputing platforms. And then, in the context of the supercomputing platforms, I will very briefly tell you about what we have been able to do in CFT. I think this is broad.
Bala, sorry for interruption.
Yeah,
Bit loud. In volume need to be bit louder.
volume is not there. Like I will make it even louder. No issues. I think. Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, okay.
So the problem is this is automatically sort of automatically resetting the microphone level. Okay, so I do not know. Is it okay now? So
Yeah.
the okay, I okay. Let me because I think what is happening is that although I'm setting my microphone, there is some automatic parameter which I need to go back and go back to the settings and do a cleanup. But anyway, like I will try to speak louder. I hope this is fine. So I'm going to make it in two parts. One is on the what I understand as research, and the second one would be about will mention about what we have done in the area of supercomputing, which is one of those very, very important areas, and also in CFD. I think these are the two things. Okay, right. Now, um, all of us make use of words like research, right? If you really look at these words like research, faith, belief, okay, all of us will understand what is research, what is belief, what is faith, what is science, right? But if you stop an individual and then say, define research, okay, you will not be able to immediately come up with an answer, okay? This is what is research. You will immediately go back, look at the dictionary and kinds of stuff. Okay, so I think when we say that anybody can do research or quality research or whatever, right? We should first place understand what research is, right? So this is as per my understanding. It's not necessary that everybody should be having the same view, but this is my understanding. Research is study of something, okay, study of something. And of course, it's not a very casual study, but it's a very serious and a careful study of something. And what is the objective that would you would want to achieve? Uh, you would want to advance the knowledge in the area that you are studying. Okay, so essentially that's the objective, right? So you study something very carefully, so and with an aim of advancing knowledge, right? So you should be able to, whatever you were doing before, I think after the studies is performed, you should be able to do it better. So that's a basic objective, right? Now, now if you ask question, can everybody do research? Actually, the reality is that each one of us, okay, right from the time we are born, we are already doing research. Okay, let me give you a household example. Like when you are making simple idlis, let's suppose, okay, you find that the idli turns out to be pretty hard. Okay, now you start breaking your head. Why my idli is hard, right? So you start making modifications in the process which you make use of for making idlis. Okay, you may change the proportion of the black gram, you may change the proportion of the rice, you may actually sort of change the process by which you are actually grinding it, you may actually increase or decrease the time you allow to for the dough to get fermented, so on and so forth. Okay, at the end of it, right, you make idlis and you arrive at a process which enables you to make soft idlis. Okay, so basically you were previously making hard idlis, you have actually carefully studied this process and you have made soft idlis out of it. Okay, right? So now, if you ask this question whether it is this research, this is research. There is no doubt about it. So basically, what I want to tell you is that all of us, okay, right from the time we are born, we sort of explore the world around us, and once you sort of gain some kind of a maturity, you want to start doing things in a better way and start slowly improving the process that we are making use of already for any purpose. Okay, so whether it is a quality research or not, it is in the answer is in the product. If you have a quality idli, then your research is a quality research. So anybody is doing research in that sense. Okay, it is not limited to one particular stream of science or engineering or anything of that kind. Everybody is doing. So we know that there is research in history, there is research in linguistics, there is research in, actually there is research a lot of, in fact, our land India, okay, it's one of those places where we have done actually lot of research in spirituality. Okay, that's why we call ourselves a spiritual land. Okay, as against many other places. So basically research can be in any area, right? Not necessarily in science engineering, but it can be in any area. And of course, each one of us, in if it's not a question of somebody can do research, and each one of us are actually doing research. Okay, now what is the product of research? Of course, now we have said this is what is the study that we are doing. Now what is the product of research? What comes out of it? Okay, what comes out of it could be something called as discovery, right? People would appreciate that, I suppose, right? Let me see if I have some view graphs. Let me see if I can share it with you. These are from my old talks, but anyway, I think maybe we will go ahead. I think when I'm coming to CFD, I will present those view graphs, okay, because it is going to take time. Uh, See, there are three things which are outcome of the research. One is discovery. It could be a discovery. Like, for example, what is discovery? Discovery is to find or learn about a place, about a fact, for the first time. I think that's what is called as a discovery, right? So, a typical example of discovery is that Columbus discovered the American continent, the North American continent. Okay. Similarly, Marie Curie so discovered radioactivity. Okay. So you find out something for the first time, right? Or learn about something for the first time. I think, okay, for it, that's loosely you can put. As against, you have the invention. Okay. Invention is again to do something for the first time, but design something that did not exist before. Okay. So I think this is slightly different. Okay. So basically, you design or make something which did not exist before. Okay. This could be a process, this could be a machine, right? So so basically the basic difference between the so-called discovery is that, both of that involve research in the sense, like, for example, you take, again, having mentioned about Columbus, right? What does he do? What is the objective Columbus has? Objective of Columbus is to sort of explore distant lands. So basically, what he does is he goes on an exploration. Okay, he goes on an exploration, right? And finally, he discovers. Okay, and on the contrary, when you are talking about an invention, okay, it's something like James Watt. Okay, he invented a steam engine. Okay, so now what is the, in fact, discovery is also a product of research. Invention is also a product of research. So, but what is the difference between these two, right? The difference is that invention also involves creativity. Okay, so you need to be creative in order that you invent something. I think that's very, very important. Okay, on the other hand, I'm not saying that for discovery creativity is not important. Okay, in fact, people who are extraordinarily dedicated, okay, who have nothing else in mind, okay, they are the kind of people who actually go about discovering things. Okay, but between, if I'm sort of allowed a little bit of freedom in sort of distinguishing between discovery and invention, I would say an element of creativity. In fact, one of my friends, okay, who is also a mathematician, he says that, um, we always keep saying, God created the world. Okay, so basically, if you go through Vedanta, you will immediately realize that this theory of creation of world is actually not accepted in the traditional Vedantic wisdom. They say that Vivekananda puts it as a manifestation, but we are all used to this word creation. Okay, so it's in fact, Vivekananda would say it is rather manifestation and not creation, but that's a different aspect. But what is important, I want to focus on, is creation. The word creation, creativity. Okay, my mathematician friend always used to tell me that there are only two people who are actually truly creative. Two classes of people who are truly creative. One is a mathematician. Okay, they do not work on any system. Okay, so for particularly take an example like Ramanujan. Okay, so he never has a model on which he can work. He's not an engineer. We are all used to working on some machine, some method, some algorithm, right? Ramanujan did not like it. He used to create. In fact, like he used to say that, he used to create the number theory, right? And similarly, he used to say that the other group of people who can actually create are musicians, right? The musicians can create. Like, if you typically go and sit in a Carnatic music concert, very quickly you will realize that most of what he renders is extempore. So they create. Okay, so the element of creativity is again very, very important for the humankind, because again, the human knowledge gets advanced because of creativity, right? And so I, between discovery and invention, know that invention has an element of creativity. And the third one is innovation. Innovation does not fall in the same class as discovery and invention. It's, innovation is also a product of research, but that is a incremental change that you bring about. Okay, incremental change that you bring about. Okay, so what do you mean by incremental change? There was something that existed already, so you work on that and make it a little better, a little more better, a little more better, and so on and so forth. That's what innovation is. Okay, so primarily most of the normal individuals, okay, what we do generally falls in the class of innovation. It's neither invention nor discovery. So why I'm saying this is that quite often, if you really talk to people, particularly who do research, you get a feeling that they are actually shaking the world, because that's what they feel about themselves. But rarely that's the case. Okay, to be, if somebody is very honest to himself, he would know where he stands. Okay, whether his research is a path breaking research, or it is a normal course of things. Okay, whatever little bit you do and feel happy about, nothing wrong in it. Okay, because different people have different potential. According to that, they contribute to the overall understanding or the knowledge. That's perfectly fine. But generally what happens is that when you start indulging in things like research, you start feeling, you start getting what I would call as an overestimate of your own abilities and your own contributions. I think you should, that's a pitfall. Okay, generally what is important is that you should enjoy what you do. I think that's more important than anything else. That's what has been driving whom I will call as good researchers. Okay, and so what we have seen so far is that we have looked at research, right? We have also looked at what are the products of research. Okay, then there are also a lot of imaginations about people who do research. Okay, because now I have told that everybody is actually doing research. So basically, such imagination should not have any place in our approach to research. Why I'm telling you is that general imagination is a good researcher is an eccentric. Okay, it's never so. Okay, never so. Good researcher is never an eccentric. There may be somebody who is an eccentric who also happens to be a researcher. Eccentricity does not, or rather is not a reflection of the quality of research that guy is doing. Okay, example, I do not know how many of you have seen the movie Mission Mangal. Okay, there the scientists are I think the lead role, the scientist is shown as a as an eccentric person who's lost in a different world. I don't think such stereotypes will have any kind of a meaning. Okay, so now we have talked about what is the product of research, but now let's look at the method. Okay, what is the method of research that we would want to do? What is the method of Okay, what is the method of research? See, method of research is it's not as definable as the other things that we have seen. Okay, it depends on what you want to do. Okay, a simple experimentation could be a method of research. Okay, a simple experimentation, whatever you do, go to the lab and do an experimentation, it is a method of research. Or it could be a theoretical analysis. Okay, and these days you have computers, computational analysis, that could be a method of research. And for the example which I was talking about, the Christopher Columbus, like, exploration can be a method of research, right? So for example, if somebody is doing things like ecology and all that, so these guys may go to forest, Mudumalai, let's suppose, and observe the elephants. Okay, so let's suppose he wants to study the behavior of elephant herd during rainy season. Give some example. Okay, so what he would do, he will go to the forest, sit in a treetop, and then observe the elephant. So observation, that's also a method of research. Okay, so what I want to tell you is that the method of research is extremely varied. Okay, but again, the problem when we actually approach research is that often people uh, uh, think that this is actually a mistake. People think that the method itself is research. Method itself is not research. You should understand research is a study. Okay, research is a study. You can put it as a careful study if you want. Okay, and there are different methods. The method itself is not research. Okay, so the methods are tools that you make use of. You are free to make use of any of these tools. Okay, then when you are actually making use of these methods, whether it could be experimentation, a theoretical analysis, or a computational analysis, exploration, observation, any of these things. Okay, so in case of a historian, right, archaeology guy, it's excavation. Okay, so any of these methods, whatever it is, okay, whatever the method you are using, one thing that is actually very, very fundamental to doing research, very fundamental to doing research. In fact, I would say that this is important even if you are actually trying to improve the process by which you are making your idlis. Okay, it is objectivity. One has to be objective. When you are using these methods, you have to be objective. What does it mean? Okay, so all of us use words like, he is not objective. Okay, right? And or this problem is highly subjective. Okay, so I think we keep making use of it, but quite often we do not really sort of appreciate the inner meaning of these words. I think that's very, very important. That's very important to understand what this objective means. Okay, what this word objective means. So object, what is object? Object is one that is being studied. Okay, right. Now what is a subject? The one that studies is a subject. Okay, so basically if I am studying an object, right, I am the subject, and you have one that is being studied. That what is being studied could be an algorithm, could be a machine, it could be anything. Okay, now what do you mean by objective? Okay, so essentially what you say is that you should remove sort of any views or likes and dislikes of the subject from the study of the object. Okay, so you don't bring in your own likes and dislikes in the study of the object. I think that's extremely important. Okay, so for example, let's suppose that, because I'll give you example from my own domain. I work on algorithms. Okay, let's suppose that I like one class of algorithms. So somebody may ask, why do you like that class of algorithms? Just that I like my algorithm. I have my, see, because you cannot question my liking. You cannot question my liking. So I may say that I like idlis, I don't like dosa, right? So if somebody cannot come and ask me, why do you like idli? Why not dosa? I may not even have reason why I am doing that. Okay. Quite often I may have a reason, but as far as my liking is concerned, I may not have reason either. I don't even have to justify why I like something, why I don't like something, and all that. Okay. So now you should not bring your own personal likes and dislikes. Because I am liking an algorithm. Now let's suppose that I am working on this algorithm. Because I like this, right? Like that algorithm, that class of algorithms, I should not actually sort of start using my methods in such a way that I infer something out of the studies which would corroborate my liking. Okay, that's what is, it's very important. Okay, this is extraordinarily important. In fact, let's suppose, take the example of the journalist. Okay, so one of the important things.
Bala, sorry for the interruption. Can it be a bit louder? Audibility.
Actually, I'm very loud.
Okay. Then your system setting, I think something you have to check.
Yes.
Sir, one more suggestion, sir.
சொல்லுங்க.
Sir, actually, on the settings, adjust automatically இருக்கும் சார். அது எடுத்து விட்டா
settings, yeah. Let me see. Well, just hold on 1 minute.
Yeah. இப்போ பயங்கர நாய். இப்போ வந்து ரொம்ப very louder-ஆ இருக்கு. I think there is on the setting adjust. என்ன சிவா, what is that command?
adjust automatically ன்னு இருக்கும் சார்.
அத switch off பண்ணிடுங்க.
Yeah, 1 minute. speakers,
Mic.
input, over amplification, output volume.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sir, actually, the Zoom appling, sir, left side corner mute no option இருக்குங்க சார்.
Okay.
அது பக்கத்துல சின்னதா ஒரு ஏரோ மாதிரி இருக்குங்க சார். அதை கிளிக் பண்ணா ஆடியோ செட்டிங்ஸ்னு ஒன்று வருங்க சார்.
என்னது?
Zoom appல
லெஃப்ட் சைடு கார்னர் சார் மியூட் இருக்கும் இல்லைங்க சார்.
ஆமா.
அது பக்கம் சின்ன ஏரோ மாதிரி இருக்கும் பாருங்க சார்.
ஓகே.
அதை கிளிக் பண்ணா ஆடியோ செட்டிங்ஸ்னு ஒரு ஆப்ஷன் வருங்க சார்.
பல அந்த மியூட் மைக் சிம்பல் பக்கத்துல ஒரு ஸ்மால் ஏரோ.
Yes, I am looking at it.
Yeah, audio settings select
microphone
as built-in audio, analog stereo. Okay, I have.
அதுல என்ன கம்பேட்டபிள் எடுக்கணும்? ஆடியோ செட்டிங்ஸ் போணுமா?
எஸ் சார், ஆடியோல மைக்ரோஃபோன் இருக்குங்க சார். அதுல ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கலி அட்ஜஸ்ட் வால்யூம்னு இருக்குங்க சார். அந்த டிக் எடுத்துட்டு ஒரு மினிமம் லெவல் வச்சுக்கலாம்.
One
audio microphone இருக்கு.
Audio by computer when joining meeting. Join audio இருக்கு. Test speaker and microphone. Computer audio connected.
பல அதுல வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா
I think I did it. Thanks a lot.
Audio settings னு இருக்கு.
I think I have done it. But now what I would suggest is just let me know, am I clear now?
Yeah, reasonably yes. Okay.
Now is it clear now?
Very yeah, clear. Fine, excellent.
Okay, good. Thanks for helping me. Okay, thanks a lot. So I was talking about, okay, what was I talking? I was talking about being objective. Okay, it's extremely important. Whenever you are doing research, it's very important that you separate your own likes and dislikes from the study you are actually undertaking. Okay, using whatever method that you are actually doing. It's very important. If you cannot do this, it will not be possible for you to do what we call as a quality research. Okay, so this is where we talk about what is called as, in fact, this is again a very interesting question for those people who are interested. Okay, can think about it. Okay, so I talked about objectivity. Okay, I talked about objectivity. So where you sort of very clearly separate the subject from the object. Okay, now I'm told, I'm not a psychologist myself, but I'm told in modern psychology, okay, in modern psychology, one of the debates that is going on is whether it is always possible to be objective, right? Whether it is always possible. We know that, for the kind of, if I'm taking up an engineering study, I know that being objective is the only way, okay, but is it possible? In fact, one of the conclusions where these guys are actually sort of leading to or coming to is that this is possible only when the object and subject are different. Okay, like for example, if you have a case where the object and subject are the same, okay, can you be objective? Okay, I will give you an example. Okay, you look at for those people who have some familiarity with what Ramana Maharshi has talked about. Okay, he asks the question, who am I? Okay, so now what is the object? I. Now what is the subject? Again, I. Right? Now, does it make sense to be objective? Okay, I think this is a great debate that's going on, and I'm told that this particular debate has got a lot of implication in the understanding of the physics, the basic physics, like particularly things like the quantum mechanics and all that. Like people have evolved these days, from the Newtonian mechanics, the theory of relativity, quantum mechanics, and now people are talking about the string theory. The understanding of the physics itself, I think this kind of this is not exactly psychological, but it's also philosophical debates can actually make our understanding better. But as far as normal people, like most of us, okay, like me, for deal with typically engineering systems, algorithms, machines, and all that, it is very important that we are objective. Okay, then again, so basically, if just to summarize what I have said, okay, I talked about what research is, right? Then I told what kind of products can come out of research, the so-called discovery, invention, and innovation, right? And then I also talked about the methods. Could be experimentation or theoretical analysis, computational analysis, exploration, observation, excavation. Okay, it could be depending on the area, right? And then what did we say? So independent of the methods, if you want to really sort of keep the quality, what is important is objectivity. Okay. Now, so this is very important. Okay, this is very important. And most of the time, as I told you, rarely research is path breaking. Most of the common people, what we do, why I'm actually emphasizing this is that it also brings in some kind of a humility in what you do. Okay, in you, it brings in some kind of a humility in you, and it makes you enjoy what you do. So you start doing things for the purpose of doing it rather than for the sort of what benefits you or what kind of whether you will become popular, whether you will become a popular scientist, great scientist, good scientist, and all those names, it goes up. See, for example, think of a musician. Okay, who's a good musician? A good musician, he is somebody who sings for himself. Okay. Similarly, a good researcher is one who does things for his own self. Okay. Whether at the end of the day, end of the game, are you happy or not? I think that's more important than anything else. Okay. I think that's the most important thing or the message or the lesson that you have to take with you. Okay. Now, I was talking about, okay. So, things which are path breaking. Again, I will give you some examples. Okay. Look at the industrial revolution that we have had. Say the history of the past 300 years. Okay, you have had discoveries, you have had inventions. Okay, now look at what discoveries, okay, or what inventions have been path breaking. Okay, you can actually your fingers on your hand are more than adequate for doing that. Okay. So one may say, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the correct thing, but other people may have their own list of things. Somebody may say that Newtonian mechanics, okay, it's path breaking. Okay, it was a great discovery by Newton, right? Or someone may say that after that, I think you had the theory of the relativity, then you had Einstein's Schrodinger, quantum mechanics. Okay, so similarly, when you look at the inventions, I think what James Watt did, Thomas Alva Edison did, right? Steam engines, the electrical motors, right? Then these were great things. Great. Why I'm saying that these were great things, or that I suppose the discovery of antibiotic, the penicillin, Louis Pasteur. Okay, so basically, what I want to tell you is that these were all great discoveries or inventions which changed the course of history of the humankind. Okay, it changed the course of the humankind. It was a big leap in understanding of the the world around us. I think that's very important. That's why these things happened. Okay, and not all discoveries and all inventions can be of the same class. I think that is very, very important. Okay. Once this goes into your mind, you will start enjoying what you would do. So the moment you start doing research, you tell yourself, I'm not Einstein. I don't mind being just what I am. Okay. I'm going to attempt. Okay. So I think that's a very, very important thing. That will help you in enjoying what you do. And when you start enjoying what you do, you will do it better. Okay, that's for your quality research. Okay, then you look at, so basically all these examples, if you really look at it, okay, there are other examples also. The discovery of the Jagdish Chandra Bose, right? Discovery of the semiconductors, then transistors, right? Then the miniaturization of the electronics, that the micro processors, what you talk about the microprocessors. Then you talk about DNA, right? The Watson and Crick model of the DNA. These are all great discoveries. I think they completely change the way we look at the world. Now, Now, having said that, what people say, right? What people say is that if you go back and look at what has happened in the last 50, 60 years, we have not had any major breakthrough. Okay, we have not had any big breakthrough. All that we have been doing is the so-called era of communication. Okay, previously we had an era of electronics, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, big dams were constructed. Okay, so even those things, like for example, when you talk about dam, I think one of the most beautiful water distribution systems worldwide was done by Karikaya in Tamil Nadu, more than 2000 years, right? So all these are great jobs, okay, which change the course of history. I think I want you to keep it in mind, okay, right? But what has happened in the past, say 50, 60 years, they are typically innovation. I'm not saying that that's not important, okay? They're also the era of communication. We have actually, see, even the fact that there was a lockdown, right? Everything is shut around us, but still we are able to sort of communicate between us. That's because of the revolution that we have actually gone through the communication. So I'm not saying putting it down, but all that I'm telling you is that the last 50, 60 years, we have not had any big breakthroughs in any of these areas. We have not had any big breakthrough. Okay, we have been moving through this process of innovation. Okay, now when I'm saying innovation, right? Very obviously, there is a research input that goes into that. The innovation, after all, being a product of the research itself. Okay, let's look at what people generally tend to do as research. Okay, this is again one example which I always like to have. This may actually displease many of our doctors. Okay, but again, this is an example which I give. Okay, because I have come across I come across such things very regularly. Okay. I go to a hospital. The doctor would have put on very prominently on his notice board a paper that he has published. Okay. Now, when you look at what the doctors have done, okay, what the doctor has claimed to have done and then published. Okay, because publication is important, right? Now, you will look at it, he will say that, look, I wanted to study this particular disease. Okay. You can verify what I'm telling. Okay. This is what generally is there. I wanted to study this disease. This is the medicine that I gave. I gave it to 23 people. 17 people responded well. Okay. And 6 people showed this kind of a response. And then, therefore, I sort of vouch for the efficacy of this particular drug in administering this particular disease. Okay. Now you ask the question whether it is called as a good research. Okay. If you ask me, I will say no. So basically, I'm not saying that all our doctors are like that. Indian doctors are like that. Say, for example, in good institutes like AIIMS, okay, I'm very sure that good research is happening. But what is happening is that many doctors are under pressure to market themselves and want to tell the world that they are doing research. And therefore, they present themselves with this kind of a statistical analysis. Okay, this is not. If you ask me whether it is research, yes, it is research. Okay, but if you ask me to qualify whether it is good research, I will say I'm sorry, this is not. Okay, I will also give you more example from my own area. Okay, I've seen many people. Okay, I work in fluid mechanics, right? I work in fluid mechanics. People will say, what do you do? I'm studying flow past a cylinder. Okay, flow past a cylinder. Okay, now he will also say that, oh, look, I have several publications in this area. Okay, several publications. So you look at the publication. Flow past a square cylinder, flow past a circular cylinder, flow past an elliptical cylinder. Okay, flow past an elliptical cylinder. Now, these geometries will get exhausted. Then he will say that I am putting cylinders in tandem. Okay, I am staggering the location of the cylinders. I have more than 2 cylinders. All kinds of things. Okay, now, in fact, one of my friends, okay, who's also my colleague, he always tells me, when you do things of this kind, this is one of the greatest pitfalls. No, it also gives you a sense of doing research. Because you are publishing more, It also gives you a sense of, doing good research. Okay. But the pitfall is that this is not at all of any utility. In fact, my friend tells me that at any given point in time, like for example, again, in CFD itself, I will give you an example. In CFD, we have what is called as grid size. We have what is called as a grid size, okay? Which is sort of you discretize the domain, and larger the grid size, the greater the accuracy, okay? So in 90s, you would have had a computer which would have allowed you to do a grid size of 100 by 100. In during the period 2000 to 2010, this 100 by 100 becomes 1000 by 1000, right? Between 2010 and 2020, you have much better computers. You can run the same problem with 1000 by 1000 grid size. Okay. Now what will happen? He would have inferred something using 100 by 100. In the next paper he publishes with 1000 by 1000 grid size, which is a more resolved. He will say that look, some of those observations are not wrong, are not right. Okay. Because if you resolve it further, you have better observations. And now in 2020, he will come and deny what he did in 2010. Okay. The reason why, in fact, what my colleague used to, coming back to that, the statement, famous, good statement of my colleague, he used to say that at any point in time, you can just ignore what this individual does. Okay. At any point in time, you can just ignore what this individual does, because he is going to negate what he has done in the coming years. Work on an algorithm. I have developed this algorithm. This is what is the greatest algorithm of the world. Okay. I present it now. Then 3 years down the line, make some incremental change. This algorithm, what I am giving you, is better than what I gave you 3 years before. So again, yeah, same yardstick. At any point in time, you can reject what he is doing, because if you want a better one, you can always take what he is going to present the next year. Okay. So the next year it does not end. So you have to be very careful, because if you really talk about quality, I think this is one of the very important. It is important to be objective, but it is also important that apart from being objective, you should not be carried away by small things of the world. So again, what is important is that you enjoy what you do. I think that's what is the key word. You enjoy what you do, okay, and be guided by your own intuitions, and understand that what you are going to do is not going to bring any breakthrough technology. Okay, if you do it this way, possibly what you do you may end up with something breakthrough, end up with a breakthrough technology. I think that's the key aspect. None of the great guys, okay, none of the great guys did what they did because they thought that they are going to publish more papers. They did it because they liked it. I think that is the model that should be there. I think the musicians' examples which I gave, right? So the musician, when he performs for himself. As a researcher, you should perform for yourself. Okay. Now, I see that my time is running out. Okay. So I think, okay. Okay. Now we're talking about innovation. Okay. Innovation, right? Maybe I will take another 5 to 10 minutes, not more than that. We were talking about innovation. When we talk about the innovation, right, in the last 50, 60 years, it's not a bad word. I told you that innovation in itself is not a bad word. It's a good thing. Okay. Although, if you ask me personally, I would not put it in par with discovery and invention. But that's what has happened in the 50, 60 years. Good. Some good researcher, scientist will come and we will have a breakthrough discovery or a breakthrough invention in future. Hope for that. That's also fine. That's also fine. Right? Now, when you look at the great part of the innovation that has happened in the last 50 years or so, it is in the computer technology. Okay, it is in the computer technology. So when I was a student, okay, when I was a student, I could barely solve a problem 2D, a 2D problem. That's what the kind of machine that we had. Okay. On the contrary, this is when I was, as Srinivasan was telling, when we were doing our MTech program, okay, we could barely solve a 2D problem. It used to be taking a lot of time. I remember we had rather rudimentary machines as compared to what we have today, okay. On the other hand, the problem size in CFD is decided by the grid size, okay. So the kind of problem size we were considering was something like 100 by 100, okay, grid size. About 100 by 100 is about 10,000 volumes, okay, cells, right? That's the kind of MTech student, as an MTech student, I could consider, right? On the contrary, now my MTech students, right? One of the MTech students who is going to pass out this year, right? His thesis defense is fixed on 13th. He has considered a grid size with 200 million volumes. Okay. So how is this possible? How is this possible? It's possible because you have better computers. It's not just better computers. You have better algorithms. You have better methodologies. You have better understanding of the algorithms. So I think there are a variety of things that actually sort of add to the value of the problem that we are trying to solve. Okay. So this has happened because of the computer technology. So basically, when I'm looking at CFD, okay, I would say that during the late 80s and during the 90s, okay, what was driving the computer technology? It is primarily CFD. It's not just CFD, it is aerospace CFD. Why aerospace? Because all the different applications, in fact, most of us agree that as far as the present time is concerned, okay, I'm not talking about the past or the future, as far as the present time is concerned, all of our research is driven by what happens in the US. Okay, there are reasons for that. Let me not go into the reasons. So basically, the period late 80s and early 90s, that was a period where the defense technology was, the CFD became an integral part of the defense technology. Okay, and they were solving bigger and bigger problems. Okay, bigger and bigger problems. In fact, I remember way back in 2000, I attended a conference in Kyoto. Okay, there was a scientist from NASA. He presented with a lot of fanfare that for the first time in the world, I have done a problem with about 100 million volumes. Okay, now 100 million volumes is a commonplace, right? Many people use it. Many people with serious computing facility, often in our own country, outside the country also, they make use of it. So basically what I want to tell you is that we are talking about an era of innovation, and in the era of innovation, we also say that, look, right, computer technology is one thing. Communication is again very important, no doubt about it. But now, coming to my area, computer technology is one thing, and that was driven by the requirements of CFD. Okay, so that point in time, people were not able to even separate out the so-called supercomputing and CFD. Okay, this CFD is very general, like it could be used for weather prediction, or it could be used for aerospace analysis, or it could be used for some kind of a heat transfer analysis in a typical mechanical problem. When I'm saying CFD, it's a global word, but typically what was driving the computer technology was the aerospace CFD. Okay, so in the turn of this century, what happened was that people started making use of the computer to what is called as the artificial intelligence. Okay, so machine learning. Now, what you see is that this is actually picking up in a big way if you really look at it. Okay, this machine learning, artificial intelligence. I think this is actually sort of coming up. You must have heard about the Amazon cloud, Microsoft Azure cloud, and kinds of things. Okay, I have my own special interest in the high performance computing, more from the CFD point of view. Okay, now, so this is the buzzword. Okay, this is the artificial intelligence and kinds of things. Okay, now, now again, I think many of you may have some understanding of what is this machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all that. But again, I want to quote one of my very senior professors. He's very old now. Okay, very old now. And I had a conversation with him. At that time, he was telling, okay, he was comparing the so-called artificial, because this kind of analysis I've never heard before, okay. Okay, even to say about artificial intelligence, what you do is that you program the intelligence into the computer, right? And you know, very you look at an optimization of a geometry. Let's give it as an example, okay? If you're looking at an optimization of a geometry, okay, what you do is that there is a parametric space associated with this, and you make an analysis. You make an analysis through the inbuilt intelligence, okay, and then an optimal configuration will come out, okay. Now you call this as artificial intelligence. If you compare it with what happened in the 1950s or 60s, a great bit of understanding of the physics would go into the optimization. So a lot of human intuition would go into the optimization. As in contrast, what comes out here is not a product of the human intuition, but rather of artificial intelligence, okay. So you have a product with you which you consider as optimal, because from the product which you started with, now you have gone through the process of machine learning, you have yet another product at hand, and you know that this is actually performing well, right? So you know that it works well. If somebody stops and asks you, why is it working well? You may not know about it. So in this connection, he was making a comment, okay. He said that the traditional Indian knowledge, in fact, he was quoting Aryabhatta, okay. In fact, if you look at the treatise of Aryabhatta, the so-called Aryabhatiam, he will, like Ramanuja for that matter, he will tell, you know, it is what is called as reflection, okay. What people call as reflection. They will say that statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, okay. Now, for a person who, when he reads it, like for example, Ramanuja has said so many things in number theory, and people are still working on proving that, okay, whether it is right or wrong. Most of them have been proved right. Many of them have also been proved wrong. Okay, so basically what I am actually referring to is that the so-called reflection, that is another part of our own consciousness which we have not explored. Okay, whereas that is what had been a strength of our civilization. Okay, now in fact he says that as you find in Aryabhatiam, right? Statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, when a product comes out of your artificial intelligence, you do not know the reason why it is so, right? But it looks like at this point in time, we are driven by this technology, okay? So anybody who wants to make use of computers in a big way, whichever area you are in, you know, not necessarily computer science guys, okay, whether you are in mechanical engineering, whether you are in biological sciences, whether you are in molecular biophysics, whether you are in chemistry, right, molecular dynamics, right, whichever be the area you are in, very soon the explosion in the computing power, okay, is going to lead you to a scenario where you may be compelled to make use of these methodologies which are devoid of human intuitions, okay. Now, if somebody asks me whether it is good or bad, okay, I will have my fingers crossed. I don't know. At this point in time, I don't know whether it is good to remove the human intuitions or not to remove it. But this is what is the present status, okay. So I conclude, okay, there are many other things which I can possibly say. I also wanted to say something about show about CFD and all that, but I think already it is about 12 o'clock. For me, there is also one more problem. So with my apologies, in the institute, our research interviews are going on, and all of us are engaged from morning 9 to evening 6:30, and beyond that also, like contact, because it's all online. Okay, we have no experience in doing things online. Contacting the students, getting their timings, providing it to go on late into the night. Okay, so but you know, Srinivasan had requested me. I promised him that I would do it. So hope I have done some justice and to what he had asked for. I do not know whether I have really met his expectations. Okay, But he has been a good friend of mine. So basically, even if I have not met his expectation, I'm sure that he will not take it seriously. So I conclude. Maybe I think we can take a few questions, not many, okay? Because I need to go back to the interview panel. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Bala. Anything specific to CFD you're not touching today, and probably in the second talk, some introduction to CFD.
In fact, I will take them through a little bit of CFD, our what we have done, and all that. Yes, I will. And
in your second part, okay?
Yes, I'll do that. Yes.
Yeah. It's indeed. You are given insight into the title. Everybody can do quality research. So what does really a quality research mean? So you are given a very good perspective, and for numbers' sake, you may do something, but that is not a real research. But we need to do a quality research, and what it differentiates. So this is an excellent one. So I think Shiva, you can enable the chat box. If the participants, you have any questions, you can raise your questions, and you can also raise your hand. We will unmute you. So that you can directly ask as well, but we prefer the chat mode because of connecting and disconnecting time we can reduce. So 1 or 2 questions we can take through direct chat and direct interaction, and in the chat box we will listen more questions. So the participants, do you have so in the meantime, I will put a question before the participants type something. See,
easy one. Not a difficult question, easy question.
Okay, so it's a very, very general one. See, computation is one dimension. CFD computation is one dimension, and another is that experimental work. Now more of soft computing than hardcore experimental work. Why is this shift, and how do you compare this trend?
Okay, actually, this is actually what I would consider as some kind of a misconception. Actually, if you really look at it, in the past 30 years of research, which I have been actually observing, there have been great developments on the computational front, the kind of machines that are available. But it is not limited to only computers. Okay, you also have had great developments on the experimental front. Okay, so if you really look at it, for example, if I'm talking about, you said that there was a talk on instrumentation in thermal engineering, right? So people at some point in time, they were satisfied with the pitot probe, right? And later on you had the so-called hot wire, and now you have the PIV used in a big way, right? So you have developments, actually very, very competing developments, both in CFD and experiments. Okay. In fact, if I remember, one of the greatest scientists, our greatest, I think, pioneering researcher, okay, in CFD, way back in 80s, he made a statement. I don't remember his name. He made a statement that in future you will have only CFD. As far as solving fluid flow problem is concerned, you will have only CFD. Okay. So, but you have a lot of infrastructure in terms of the wind tunnel. What is the utility of the wind tunnel? He said that those wind tunnels will be used for storing the CFD output, because those days they used to have all those output printed in paper and all that. Okay. Now, the reality today, maybe about 30-40 years after he has made the statement, is that neither the wind tunnels are closed down, right? Nor the CFD output is in terms of the papers we are talking about, in both. So if you really look at it, on the other hand, there is something very interesting that is happening. Okay, that is, there are things which experiments can do. Okay, because as far as experiments are concerned, they are experiments. There is no question of the so-called accuracy part of it. What you observe is what you observe. Of course, there is an accuracy associated with the instrumentation. That's a different thing. But if you set that aside, okay. On the other hand, CFD is not like that. CFD comes with a package of uncertainties. Okay. So what people have been doing is that make use of intelligent experiments to validate your CFD, and you use your validated CFD for a wide range of applications. I think this
excellent.
is a very important component. So at this point in time, I think you require good experiments and good CFD. Now, if somebody asks what happens in the future, okay, the kind of the explosion that we have in the computing, okay, it may be possible, maybe 100 years down the line, you may have only something like CFD, an analog computer for solving the Navier-Stokes equation. But as of now, that's very relevant for us. Okay.
Hello. Balak, yeah. So you can continue.
Yeah, I'm done. So basically, I think as of now,
okay, fine.
They both of them
after finishing, you have to say over to PSS, then only I understand.
Yes.
So one Mr. Ramesh Babu is on the line. He like to put a question.
Yes, please.
Babu, you can raise your question now. Mr. Ramesh Babu. Mr. Ramesh Babu, you can ask your question now. We have unmuted you. Hello. Okay, so now let me put a few questions that are in the chat box. There are very good comments that has come up. One is that how to find a research problem.
Okay, so okay, the answer is not very direct. So when Swami Vivekananda, somebody asked him, what should I do in my life? Okay, he said, follow your highest ideal. Okay, so this is actually a very interesting statement. Okay, he did not say that you do this, you do that. So when you look at yourself as an individual, you have several of these ideals. Okay, not necessarily one, but several of them. Okay, I don't want to sort of list them. Okay, because I think you should be in a position to understand that. And what he says is that you sit down and look at all those ideals that you have. Okay, all those ideals that you have, right? And follow the highest ideal. I think that's what you should be doing. Okay, now you ask me, okay, why am I doing CFD? Okay, right? So if you ask me, why are you doing research in CFD? If I say that, I was as a student, I was greatly motivated, by CFD, and I thought that CFD is the end of life and kinds of things. That's not right. Okay, right? So at that point in time, I made a choice that I will do CFD. Okay, it's not that somebody told me that you should do CFD, right? At that point in time, that was a choice that I made based on the information that I had at that point in time in my hands. Okay. Now, had I known more about experiments at that point in time, possibly I would have done experiments also. So basically, there is no great reason. See, always, in fact, what happens is that quite often, one of the major pitfalls of our human thinking is that we fall in our own trap. I think we should not do that. Okay. You look at what you are, whether you are a mechanical engineer or a civil engineer or an electronics person or an electrical person, communication guy, whatever it is. Okay. And then start looking at what you can do in that area. Okay. And there is something that would motivate you. Start doing it. Don't worry about anything else. Do it seriously. I think that's more important than anything else. Because if you ask, how do I choose a problem? Okay, there is, even to my own students, I will broadly define something. When I'm defining broadly something, it is out of my experience. Okay, I put in some experience, based on that I define that. In fact, my supervisor has registered for PhD. He said, Bala, there are two kinds of research. One, he used to call it as the so-called railway track research. Okay. The railway track research is like, in fact, this is an example which he used to give. You get into the train in the Bangalore cantonment station. Next is Bangarpet. Next is Jolarpet. Then you have Katpadi. Then you reach Chennai. At the Chennai, you get your PhD degree. Okay. That's not going to help you. That's not going to give you the kind of happiness that you would want to derive out of doing research. So basically, any research problem, if it has to be purposeful, it has to be open-ended. Okay. Broadly, you may have an idea out of your own experience. Okay. But having decided that this is what I'm going to work on, okay, then you have to steer through the unknown waters. I think that's very important. I do not know whether I have answered your question, but this is what I feel.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. In fact, thank you, Bala. Yeah, thank you, Bala. In fact, I will be. Thank you, Bala. I will be covering it in my talk in a very precise way. About 15 minutes I will be spending on that. We request the audience to listen to that. There's another question. When is the next talk? Dear participants, it is scheduled on 16/7, 2020, 11 a.m. So there we will throw some light on CFD, what he has done in CFD over a period of 4-5 researches, how the code has evolved and how this code is being put into an commercial industry level code and how it is being done. That will be covered in Mr. Bala's second talk that is scheduled on 16th of July. The next question is, see, CFD research you have been doing for the past 30 years. Now this, you have mentioned about AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning and all. How these things is, you are expecting to change the course of CFD research?
Okay, so basically I think it has already started doing. Okay. So I do not know whether it is for better or not, but definitely I think people are using these tools in CFD, although I have not been using them in a big way. Okay. One of the serious applications that I have seen, okay, which people have made use of machine learning, for example, in the CFD, is that for those people who are familiar with what are called as the turbulence models, okay, so they have been actually using these methods for tweaking the turbulence models. I think that's number one. Okay. Number two is there have also been people who have been looking at obtaining optimal geometries. When I'm saying optimal geometries, typically in an aircraft that cruises with minimal drag. Okay. So whether it is possible for us to sort of obtain optimal geometry. So basically, like this will make use of the principles of AI, machine learning, and all that in conjunction with whatever we know as the modern CFD. People have started using it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. What is the mathematical background required for CFD domain?
Okay, as far as CFD is concerned, if somebody wants to do CFD, one thing that's very important is, in fact, like, okay, again, I will go back to my teacher. Okay, CFD has got two parts. One is computational and the other one is fluid dynamics. Fluid dynamics is very important. Okay, one understanding of fluid dynamics is extraordinarily critical. Okay, many people actually get lost in the C part of it, and therefore their understanding of fluid dynamics, this I see in my interviews also. Understanding of fluid dynamics, aerodynamics, gas dynamics, these are very important. On the C part of it, it's all about the algorithms and the machine. Okay, and therefore the understanding of mathematics is very important, particularly since CFD is about solving partial differential equations, the Navier-Stokes equations, aspects of partial differential equation, ordinary differential equation, then you are solving a system of equations. It's a matrix inversion on a computer. So basically your understanding of matrix algebra, linear algebra, okay, these things are very, very important. And also, in order to understand the accuracy of the algorithms that we make use of, one should also have a good understanding of things like the Fourier transform and the series. Okay, so broadly, if you really look at it, I have actually summed up what is taught in our first 4 semesters of engineering program. Okay, the vector algebra, matrix algebra, partial differential equations, ordinary differential equations, okay, Fourier series, Fourier transform. These are all very, very critical in order that you understand the algorithm. Unfortunately, what has happened is that in our country, presently, there are not many people who are actually looking at algorithms, okay. Most of the people use what again, my colleagues call as computational fluid dynamics. Okay, so they think that taking up a problem solving using fluent is more important. Okay, so that's not a very healthy trend. Okay, particularly as a research, if somebody is doing it in industry, I think that's a different ball game. But as a trend in research, it's not a great idea. But people are doing it. If they want to do it do it seriously, I think they should have to focus all the more on the FD part, the fluid dynamics part, their understanding. Because what happens is that the process of CFD itself is very overwhelming in the sense like you generate a surface, then a grid, and then solve a problem and post process. By the time you are tired, okay. So the most critical part of it is that looking back at the solution that you have got, whether it makes sense, whether there is something meaningful can be inferred out of the results that you have got. You don't find time for that. Quite often, when I'm actually looking at my own students and also those people whom I interview very regularly, okay, I find that if somebody does CFD, the FD part of it is very poor. I would say that most importantly, the FD part of it, fluid dynamics part of it, should be strengthened. I think that's very important. That's what I feel.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. One Mr. Vigneshwar is on the line. Mr. Vigneshwar, you can raise your question. Mr. Vigneshwar. Mr. Vigneshwar, you have raised your hand. We have unmuted you. You can unmute yourself and answer. We have given permission. Mr. Tamil Selvan.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Who is speaking? Viswanathan or Tamil Selvan?
Sir, this is Vigneshwar, sir.
Vigneshwar, you can raise your question. Tamil Selvan, be on the line. What's your question, sir?
Sir, good morning, sir. Sir, my question is to follow for your CFD analysis of system.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I
please.
think last connect.
Sir, is it audible, sir?
Yeah, you can talk a bit louder.
I'm hearing.
Sir, how much the boundary condition will impact on our CFD analysis, sir?
Okay, this is a good one. Okay, see, it's like this. You have simply a flow. Okay, like you simply a flow. Would you be interested? You would not be interested. Okay. When you put an airfoil in the flow, you will be interested in the flow. A simple flow does not interest you. Okay, when you are putting an airfoil with an objective of finding out what is the lift that airfoil is generating, what is the drag that airfoil is generating, the flow becomes interesting. Right? So, what is important? What is an airfoil? Airfoil is a boundary. So, whatever that interests you in a fluid flow is because of the boundary. So, boundary is the most important part of the simulations. Okay. Your solutions are only as useful as the accuracy with which you have been able to implement the boundaries. I think that's very, very important. Without the boundaries, the flow is not of any interest to us.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. Mr. Vigneshwar, it is like equation is equation for everyone, either PD or Navier-Stokes equation. So why variety of solutions are there? That depends on the boundary conditions you impose. So that is where the boundaries become important. Mr. Tamil Challan, you can ask your question now. Mr. Tamil Challan. Mr. Tamil Challan, okay. Mr. Anand. Mr. Anand, you can ask your question.
Sir?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, audible.
Sir, it's audible to you?
Yes,
it's one very basic that I'm trying in PhD in IITs in full time. Can you tell me the best way to join in IIT full time?
So, what is your background?
So I did a mechanical engineering and my MA is in engineering design.
Ah, okay. So what do you want to do? You want to join for PhD in a good institute, right?
He wants, what is the procedure to join PhD in IIT or IISc?
Like if you have an MA degree, you have to apply. Like we are going through the process of interview. You don't even require a gate score. If you already have an ME degree, you can apply. You will be called for the interview. Prepare well for in the interview. Okay, get through that and then join. I think that's one thing that's so basically even in the interviews we do not really ask questions which are like very difficult. They're very basic to test the sort of the analytical skills of the students, the ability of the student to think independently. These are the kind of skills. Okay, so so if you really look at it with a reasonable preparation for the interviews, okay, you should be able to sort of clear the interview.
Okay, sir.
No issue. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anand. I think see there is another question. I'm see whether CFD concept can be used in welding technology domain.
Yes, people are using it, and I know that. See, for example, in cooling of the weld pool, okay, it has to cool slowly, and so basically, like aspects of solidification are being looked at in CFD. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
They are very serious. In fact, I know that in mechanical department of IISc, we have people who look at such problems. Yes, I don't do it myself, but I know people do that.
Yeah, yes, Bala. The answer could be, dear participants, you like to know about such things. But it is very easy now. You go to elsewhere or sciencedirect.com, those research paper publishing sites, and put keywords like CFD in welding, CFD plus welding. You will get numerous papers, and
Yes.
whether you yourself can find out very easily.
Yes.
Now, those days when we were doing our MTech or PhD, you have to go to library and take one advanced journal, identify one latest paper, read literature survey, backtrace, Xerox. Those things, those era are over. Now, just click, put proper keywords, you will get hundreds of papers, and you can download and read. One specific question, sir. I am an independent researcher. I like to do research in reverberative armors, both numerically, experimentally. Is there any provisions to receive funding or assistance to do the same?
So you are not affiliated to any organization, isn't it?
Yeah. Normally, yes, you are right. Normally, you have to get affiliated with an institution. Through institution only, you have to apply. Funds are normally not given to individuals. It's given through the individual.
That's what I think. You should be able to affiliate yourself with an institute. There is a CRB. You can always approach a CRB, DST, right? Science Education Research Board, SERB, these days, I think they have a lot of funds.
Yeah, many of them has really all our thanks messages. Thank you, Bala. So kind of you. We will meet you on 16th.
Sure.
Just to conclude, I will participants some 2 minutes summarization of what we have learned now. In fact, he didn't go into the topic that we will touch in a second part of the talk. CFD and what kind of CFD research he does and how it has become a commercial code and what he does with the new startup. In fact, it's not a startup now, it's an ongoing industry. So coming into today's topic, a summary of that, what we have learned today. Research is study of something to advance the knowledge in the domain. Even idli making a better idli itself is an explorative research. Day to day, our homemakers do. But if that is being put, if you do proper literature survey, if it is not there, you appropriately put into the format and publish, then you probably may get a good PhD out of idli making also. If it is not published earlier, that's the only condition required. But that's not the case. But everyone have that intuition. That is what is more important. Output of any research could be a discovery or an invention or innovation. Discovery and invention happens once in a while. at some 10 years, 20 years intervals, some sparks will appear. But innovation is a way of research most of us we do, and that is also realistically possible. There are a lot of research methods like computation fluid dynamics, experimental, theoretical, exploratory. We can take a suitable one or combination of us to do our research, but we should not misunderstood that research methods itself are not research. They are only tools to do that. And choose a research domain that attracts your heart and do a good number of literature survey, deep dig into it, identify a problem and that is where you can do. But you have to be objective in your research. You should not put your own subjective things into a research. And now in the recent era, there were era of civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, electronics engineering. Now there is a huge surge in computation power that makes many things possible. The difference, what is the difference between ordinary research and quality research? So ordinary research does some combinations of some parameter variations and publishes more number of papers. Instead, it has to really add something new to the existing domain knowledge. Instead of solving a variety of problems, new ways, new methods, new insights into the existing, new knowledge addition must be there. That is considered as a quality research. And Visagwell, kindly unmute yourself. So these are all some of the outcomes. Now the phenomenal computing power is available that makes older insights redundant and new insights are possible. So these are all some of the things that we have learned today. And in the next talk, we will learn about a little bit about CFD and how this journey of CFD algorithms, a series of research into a commercial code. How does it compares with the codes in the Western world, and how it benefits to a country like India in terms of savings and crores of money. Otherwise, that we may have to buy those softwares. All those things in the next talk. So with this, we are coming to the end of this talk. Thank you, Bala. Thank you so much. Over to Muniraj for.
Thank you,
Over
sir.
to Muniraj for concluding session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving the wonderful information regarding the basic fundamental of CFD as well as how to do innovative research. Now, the session forum is over to Malaluri Madam for giving the formula of thanks.
Yes, sir.
It's over to Malaluri Madam.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to all. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. First and foremost, I thank our resource person, Dr. N. Balakrishnan, Professor, Computational Aerodynamics Lab, Department of Aeroscience Engineering, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace this occasion. Thank you, sir. And we are grateful to our principal, Dr. P.S.S. Srinivasan, for his words of encouragement and his able guidance as always encourages. Thank you, sir. And I also express my sincere thanks to our Vice Principal, Dr. K. Vishagavel, and Webinar Coordinator, Dr. C. Muniraj, for their valuable support. Thank you, sirs. My heartfelt thanks to our all HODs, directors, faculties for their valuable contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. My special gratitude to the organization team who worked hard to ensure that this webinar becomes a memorable success. Also, I thank all the distinguished invitees present here by accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir and madam. Thank you all for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Bala. We'll meet on 11th.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Now it is over to Siva for formally closing this event. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. You now end the meeting, sir.